Hello, my dear students. I'm continuing with the topic gymnosperms. In the previous session we have clearly understood or we have clearly learnt about the structures and some of the type of spores or some of the additional structures with otherwise like coralloid, mycorrhiza. Those topics we have completed in the last session. Now in this session, let me continue with the topic, that is, what is the structure where we have stopped in the previous class. We have stopped with their reproduction. So reproduction in gymnosperms. As already we have understood, there is a both are produced, strobili, male strobili or female strobili or cones, that is spore containing structures, can be seen in either in the same or different plant group. In case of cycas, it is found in different, where in case of pinus, it is found in on the same plant. Now, these structures are responsible for producing the spores, which is useful, which are the reason for continuing the generation. So here, this ovule, I said the megasporophyll have the ovule, and the what about the microsporophyll? They produce a microsporangia, that is pollen grains. In short, you can also say it is a pollen grain because almost similar to the pollen grain, but it is in this case of this plant group, we say it as microsporangia. Then in the female strobili, they have the ovule in it. Now what happens to these structures? Okay. Now the nucellus, that is a structure. This is a structure. The nucellus means a structure which found around the ovary. Okay, that I already told you again, that structure you will come to know when you are learning the angiosperm. The nucellus means the cells surrounding the ovary. The nucellus is protected by envelopes. The nucellus is protected by envelope. And the composite structure is called as ovule. That all together we can say that this you don't write now. I'll tell you in the next class about that. Then during in the angiosperm section, we'll see that. The nucellus is protected by envelope, and that composite structure is called as ovule. Okay. From this, the one of the cell is differentiated. MMC. I'm writing in a short form. It is a megaspore mother cell. That is, the cells which is seen, okay, among these gets differentiated. Only one cell can be differentiated. That cell is called as megaspore mother cell. That megaspore mother cell differentiates here. Differentiated. So we are studying now about the structure of in the megasporangium. What are the events occurs during the fertilization? In the megasporangium, ovule is there, that has a nucellus covering is there. In that nucellus, there is one cell is there which is special in that, which is differentiated from other cells of nucellus. So what happens here means this megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis. You know about the meiosis? Mitosis and meiosis are the two events occurs during the cell division. This meiosis results in the production of a 4 haploid megaspore. Understood? The megaspore mother cell which is found in this nucellus means it's a part of the inside the ovary. Okay, here that megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis and produces the 4 haploid megaspore. This haploid megaspore later develops into female gametophyte which has develops into female gametophyte that has 2 or more female reproductive organs, that have 2 or more female reproductive units are there within this megaspore. Then this the female gametophyte is retained. This is a multicellular. Okay, so we'll write it as the multicellular female gametophyte is retained within the megasporangia. So this female gametophyte, multicellular female gametophyte is retained within the megasporangia. That helps for the later part of the fertilization. So you may find difficult to know about this because it's a new topic to you and you have not studied more about this basic information. So need not to worry about that. You just think that, okay, just understand this much. When we are studying about the reproduction, so we have to study about the male and female reproductive units, which is called as microspores and megaspores, which can produce microsporangia and megasporangia. Microspores means pollen grains. Okay, that structure is little different from this, and it will again there is another topic is there to study for that. Now megasporangium, what happens in the megasporangium? This information is to make you clear that they are getting advanced than previous group. This group of plants are getting more advanced. So they have a nucellus is there. That what is that nucellus means? That means this ovule has covered by a structures that envelopes are called as. Suppose you consider this is the inside, you know, the flower, right? They do not produce the flowers. Okay. So this is structure, like these structures are there. So ovule, they are covered by the envelopes. So these envelopes have many cells in it. They are highly filled with the cells. So in that, one of the cell becomes megaspore mother cell, which can be differentiated from other, and that cell undergoes meiosis, and meiosis results in the production of 4 haploid megaspore. That is, if there are one was there, they will undergo meiosis and produce a 4 haploid megaspore that develops into female gametophyte. Then this has 2 or more female reproductive organs in it. In that, it may have the 2 or more female reproductive units. This multicellular female gametophyte is retained within the megasporangium. Okay. So here, what is the difference from the pteridophytes in gymnosperms is that here in the gymnosperms, the male, in these gymnosperms, the male and female gametophytes do not have an independent free living existence. Here in the case of gymnosperms, male and female gametophyte, they do not have an free independent free living existence. In pteridophytes like Prothallus and all, they were independent, but here it is found attached to the parent body itself. So in this case of gymnosperms, the gametophyte do not have an free living existence. That is one difference among the gymnosperms. Then these structures, what we have discussed now, this gametophyte and all those are retained within the parent body itself. So they are retained within the sporophytes. Then from where does the pollen grains are released? The pollen grains are released from the microsporangium. So this much is about the female reproductive units and there. Now, if come to the male reproductive organ where we are clear, they have reached up to, I said microsporangium, where they can produce the microspores. So that microspores are from the microsporangium, the pollen grains are produced. Okay. Those who have left the space there, you can fill there itself. Microsporangium in birthday, and in the pollen grains are released. Okay. So pollen grains are released from the microsporangium. Okay. So pollen grains are released from the microsporangium, and these pollen grains are carried. They are carried by air currents. What is that process is called as? The transfer of pollen grain. It is a pollination. The transfer of pollen grains is called as pollination. So the pollen grains are released from the microsporangia and they are carried by air currents, and then what happens? From this, they come into contact of the ovules. They come in contact with the ovules. Then what happens? Where these ovules are born, they are born on the megasporophyll. Here we stopped, right? Here. This is about the structure of female reproductive. There we understood that there is a ovule is there, right? So these microspores, from which pollen grains are released, they are carried by air currents, and that will come in contact with the ovules. Then we know that later following process is called as, it is a part of fertilization. Where the ovules are born or come in contact with the ovules, it is born on megasporophyll. And after reaching the ovules, they discharge their contents to continue the pollination process, fertilization process. They discharge their contents near the mouth of this megasporangium. So they discharge their contents near the archegonium, and then what happens? Then next is fusion with the egg. So thereby fertilization completes. Then that fusion of egg results in the fertilization. So that fusion with the egg, that process is called as fertilization. That process is called as fertilization. Now, what happens after the fertilization? That you know. What is after the fertilization? Usually ovary develops into fruit and ovule develops into seed. But here there is no, there is no flower in this case. Here they are not covered, right? So, zygote develops into an embryo. So, fusion with the egg, which results in the fertilization, which forms a zygote. You can just put the arrow mark like this and write zygote. Okay, next step is zygote is formed. Then this zygote develops into an embryo. Then after this, so what happens? Ovules develop into seed. Ovules develop into seed, and there is no fruit covering, or fruit is not there, so it is seeds are not covered here. So post fertilization events, not much is there, because once the fusion completes, then it results in the formation of seed. So there is no much for post fertilization events. So these seeds are not covered. So gymnosperms, we can say that they are smaller. Here the smaller male gametes, which represents the pollen grain. It is an features which brings to make us to understand that they are evolutionary, they are more evolved, and they are they are connecting to the angiosperms. In the angiosperms, we can see the pollen grains are in form of powder. So that features has started to develop in the pollen, in the gymnosperms case also. That shows that gymnosperms are just the ancestors of the angiosperms. And once on the earth, these gymnosperms have dominated, and you know that there's many species of these gymnosperms are getting removed, they're getting extinct from the earth. So now almost around 60 species only are there on our earth, and at a time, once upon a time, they were very dominant on our earth. So due to this, some reasons, we know the reasons, the many plants or the many species of the gymnosperms are getting destroyed. And main thing is that these gymnosperms have a lot of economic importance. As in the beginning I said and stopped in the beginning of the gymnosperms class. Mainly it is used for making furnitures. For example, good quality wood we can obtain from this plants group. So they are mainly used for making, their timber is used for making in the furnitures, even the musical instruments, all those can be prepared. Then also pinus is there, no? The pinus, from the pinus plant tree, it is edible oils also can be, we can obtain the resins and terpenes. Resins and terpenes also, you want to take down, let me write on that. Economic importance. Timbers used in making furnitures as well as some musical instruments. You know the cost of some of the musical instruments. So to prepare such musical instruments, there's a need of such gymnosperms plants group. So it is so valuable for in that aspect. Then pinus are used in the production of resins and terpenes, which is used as a chemicals in the paint and all. They'll use resins and terpenes. Then some of these plants have edible seeds in it. Some of the plant can produce edible seeds. That is cycas, their seeds are edible. Pinus seeds are edible, and ginkgo. And that you have to clear whether plant can, whether animals can eat, or human beings can feed or can use this as a food. That you have to clarify by yourself. And let us understand that their classification of gymnosperms. So how the pteridophytes have classified into 4 subclasses, gymnosperms also have the subclasses. The subclasses are Cycadopsida, which includes the cycas, then Coniferopsida, which includes pinus, then Gnetopsida, which includes gnetum, then Gingopsida, which includes ginkgo. Here in your textbook, in the page number 39, okay, it may say sometimes in the old book and new notebook there can be some variation, some difference will be there. But in this textbook you can see there is 3 types of plant are shown. Okay, the first one is a cycas, second one is a pinus, and third one is a ginkgo. Now, classification of gymnosperms. The gymnosperms are classified into. So what are those 4 subclasses? Cycadopsida. Example, cycas. Then Coniferopsida. Example, Pinus. Then next we can also see Gnetopsida. Example is Gnetum. Then next example classification is here Ginkgo. Here Ginkgo. There is G also there, but it is not pronounced. Okay, so it is remain silent there. So Ginkgo. So just pronounce like that. So these are the 4 subclasses under gymnosperms. Gymnosperm subclasses are Cycadopsida, which includes cycas, Coniferopsida, which includes Pinus, then Gnetopsida, which includes Gnetum, Ginkgopsida, which includes the Ginkgo. So these are the 4 subclasses under gymnosperms. So we completed the gymnosperms class. Okay. So gymnosperms also important. So usually questions from this chapter, plant kingdom, usually comes for many questions used to come, more questions used to come, mainly from the gymnosperms, angiosperms. Out of these 4 classes, one of the class can be asked for writing the features. And even angiosperm is very important. So this about the angiosperms, let us learn now. Okay. So angiosperms, very useful plant, highly economically useful plant, without which many of our life activity, day-to-day life activities can also be cannot be done without the help of this angiosperm. So it is a flowering plant. What is that? It is called as flowering plant. Very have the vast diversity of the plants are there. Okay, their diversity also rich, and they are one of the very useful plant, as they used for the production of scents, then some of the perfumes, then as well as many of the products which you can see around yourself. Also you can see lot of things are obtained from this flowering plant. So without the flower, there is a there will be a lot of things would be missed. And they have the cultural, I told you already in the second chapter how we have, it is yet to come. So flowers are having lot of aesthetic and cultural values also, right? It is used for in the happy moments, as well as in some of the in the sad moments also we'll use. So at any time this flower has its own value. So these flowers are produced in a group of plants called as angiosperms. Now these angiosperms have 2 classes of subclasses under that. So what are those 2 subclasses under this? Angiosperms are divided into having 2 classes, having 2 cotyledons and single cotyledon. It is dicotyledons and monocotyledons. What are the difference between these dicotyledons and monocotyledons? What are the differences you have studied? You have studied in the 10th standard or in say previous years, I think. In dicotyledons, they have 2 cotyledons. That's why it is dicot. Monocot means it has single cotyledon. So that's why it is monocotyledon. Monocotyledon means single cotyledon. Dicotyledon means which have the 2 cotyledons in it. Then next feature is that about their petals. Their petal is in tetramerous condition. Flowers are in the petals are of in tetramerous condition, whereas in case of monocotyledons, they have flowers will have the petals in multiples of 3. So tetramerous condition is for petals. Okay. So petals are in tetramerous condition. Here petals are in multiples of 3. They are existing in multiples of 3. They can exist in the multiples of 3. Then they also show some of the difference with their venation. You have studied about their venation and all. Here this will show which venation? This will show the reticulate venation, whereas monocotyledons will show the parallel venation. You know about the parallel and the reticulate venation? Reticulate means hibiscus plant. You just remember the hibiscus plant or any plant, the leaves are in this reticulate venation. If you take the coconut or the areca nut and all, the leaves are in this form. So that is it's a compound leaf. Like this, having the venation like this. Okay, then it is called as parallel venation. So monocotyledons have a parallel venation, whereas the dicotyledons have the reticulate venation. Now about their structures which helps for their reproduction. So reproductive units are, they are classified as, they have male and female reproductive units, which includes what are the units we call it as, that is gynoecium and androecium. So about that structures, what are the structures found in antheridium and as well as what is another structure, that is androecium and gynoecium, not antheridium, sorry. So about their androecium and gynoecium and about their each units of their reproductive parts will study in the coming video. And with this, let me revise what we have learned so far in this today's session. So we have started with the pteridophytes. Then next we completed the gymnosperms. Then in the pteridophytes, so some points just want to tell you about that more. The pteridophytes, economic importance, I have told about the binding for the soil particle so can be used. It is very useful in soil binding. Then they are also useful as a ornamental, then also for medicinal value, and some of them are used for crop rotation. You might have heard of azolla plant. That azolla plant also comes under this, yes, under the group of the pteridophytes. Then they also, azolla is very useful for the say cattle feed. Nowadays they use for because as their nitrogen fixing bacteria are there, they are good in minerals, so that will be used as a supplement for the cattle feed. Then also have another important role in plant succession. That means in bare rocks and soil they easily grows, so that means that helps for the succession, so that next group can invade that area, thus helps for the propagation of the lives. Okay, so that means just think about the food chain, how one is linked to other. So likewise, if they are first to colonize on the rocks, they obviously other group will come on that. That is how they can continue that ecosystem. Then in that creeping pine is there, which is Lycopodium. Water fern is, that is azolla. Then walking fern, water fern is azolla, walking fern is adiantum. Then some of them are leafless pteridophyte is there, which is Psilotum. Then horsetail is called as Equisetum. So these are some of the information regarding the pteridophytes. Then pteridophytes, we have studied about their special features, and then also we have understood what are the different classes under the pteridophytes. Then gymnosperms, meaning is that the plants which can produce the seeds without covering. So here